Hi out there, this is Cynthia Howard and welcome to my show. This is my podcast on various topics including local, state, and national issues. We're going to start off today's show. I'm glad you could join me, by the way, and ask you a question. What do government officials do best? And I think you know the answer. They spend money, and not just money. It's your money they spend and they enjoy doing it because there's no end in sight when they do that, as you know. And spending creates taxes. Spending and taxes go hand in hand, like beans and hot dogs, donuts and coffee, pizza and beer, pen and paper. Except spending and taxes leaves an awful distaste in your mouth, and it creates more problems in the future. So it's certainly not like those food items I mentioned. It's too bad that it wasn't, but it certainly isn't. Well, that's what's going on in my town, especially the school district, where spending is going through the roof. And it has been a long time, but this year is probably more of the exception than the rule. Last fall, Governor Chris Sununu delivered a novelty check to Claremont of $6.2 million, and that turned into real money. Specifically, $1.3 million was awarded to the school district at the end of this year. And this was part of the New Hampshire budget compromise for $76 million, which was distributed across New Hampshire cities and towns. So a lot of towns and cities got a piece of the pie. Now, $800,000 was given to the city of Claremont for infrastructure improvements. But the remaining money, the $5.4 million, which is the majority of the money, has gone to the Claremont School District. But like a thief in the night, school officials have devised a big spending plan to spend the majority of the money. So they devised a spending plan of $650,000 to take care of part of the $1.3 million that they received at the end of 2019. For special ed, adding 4 more programs, adding 25 staff members, which will include rising costs of salaries and benefits in the future, which haven't been taken into consideration because they know the money comes from us and they'll always receive the money. And this passed because no one showed up, or hardly no one showed up. Maybe 20 people showed up. But the majority ruled, which was mainly school and city staff officials, so it passed, and you, the voters, we lost $650,000 first time around. Not a good track record, I must say. And to add insult to injury, they are proposing a budget for the upcoming school year, 2021 and 2022, of $38 million, an increase from last year of $2.9 million, which means spending is through the roof. It's 4 times the rate of inflation. It's 9% of an increase from last year, actually over that slightly. And the budget has everything but the kitchen sink in it. It again increases special education costs by $138,000. Even though they already received the $650,000, it's still going beyond that. They are also increasing transportation costs by $147,000. Technology is increased by $94,000, even though in the last several years we've spent thousands and thousands of dollars in upgrades. Teacher contracts are up $1.2 million for the next 3 years. And some of the starting teachers will receive a stipend of $1,500. There is also $440,000 for 4 new teachers, of which 2 are social studies, which is not a requirement of New Hampshire assessment standards, which means it's not a necessity, but nevertheless, they're spending it anyway. So that's $440,000 for 4 teachers. And if that's not enough, they're going on a spending spree. This money here includes $1.4 million, by the way. And the rest of the money is $1.5 million for capital improvements. Even though we renovated the high school, we put energy upgrades of almost $6 million. This was like 5 or 6 years ago. They're still wanting to spend even more, even though it's not a pressing matter, even though it has nothing to do with accreditation, even though it's not an emergency, they still want to spend an additional $1.5 million in the budget. This is part of their wish list. This could easily be reduced, but of course they're not going to do that. Now, what's interesting, in the budget it says 1.5 million. There's also a discrepancy, and on the wish list, their list of projects, it says 1.8 million. So who knows what it's really going to be? It's probably going to be way past the 1.5 million, because government officials usually go over budget rather than under budget. And I'm going to read the list of those projects in that list of 1.7 million, close to 1.8 million. Entry vestibules on 4 schools, $108,000. Kitchen equipment, $38,000. Exterior school grounds, $76,000. Nothing very specific there either. Heating and ventilation at 3 schools for $275,000. School interior projects, whatever that means, $166,000. Lighting, there's nothing listed though. Roofs at Middle School, Disnard, Sugar River Tech Center for $651,000, even though someone has stated that the Disnard roof was done a couple of years ago, so that doesn't seem possible to be doing another roof in that short period of time. You know, where's the guarantee on that project? Renovations at the Dow building, the administrative office building, for, listen to this, $398,500. And the Dow building is brick, so there's very little painting on the outside. And the inside, I've been in several times, and the inside is just gorgeous. I mean, it's immaculate, it's beautiful, it looks like nothing needs to be done. Maybe caulking, or maybe some painting, maybe some insulation or whatever, but I can't see them spending no $398,000. It's way out of control, way overboard. Security cameras, $10,000, even though they've upgraded several security cameras over the past several years. Exterior window and doors for $69,100, even though there was a project done 6 years ago through Johnson Controls for the energy bond, and that included windows and some doors. So why are they doing more of that too? Because they have the money and they feel they can. As long as you don't keep it open and transparent, they will get away with all this and don't inform the voters. That's what they think. But I think otherwise, don't you? So they're using this one time, remember, this is one time, $2.9 million of allocation from the state money to mask all this extra spending, this $2.9 million, close to $3 million. Now, there's no stipulation on the money, only that it's either to go in the budget or to be returned to the taxpayers. And I don't think the intention of the governor was to create more spending, especially this level. This is way out of control. And even by the school board's own account, they have said it can be used for tax relief. And that becomes the default budget rather than the main budget. And it also gets done by your vote on Tuesday, March 10th. So the taxpayers to date have only received, of this $5.4 million, only $650,000 in tax relief, with the $650,000, the other part of the $1.3 million, going to the school. But we've actually gotten $650,000 applied for tax relief in the budget. But the school has already received $650,000 plus another $1.2 million in extra adequacy aid this year, which totals 1.85 million. So they've already received a lot more than the taxpayers. In other words, we've already received the short end of the stick. And the school district complains about a loss of aid for several years. They said they've reduced it by, say, like 4% in the last 4 years. And that's the reason our budgets are high and things are tight and taxes are high. But nevertheless, they've just received this $5.4 million, which exceeds more than they've ever lost. They've lost a little over $500,000 in the last 4 years with a reduction in an aid. So they've already gotten that back with the first round vote of the $650,000 that they gained back. So with that being said, the remaining money should belong to the taxpayers, which is approximately the $2.9 million that's already been appropriated in the budget. That should be our money because they've already gotten their money that they lost from the state. It's already in there. So the remaining money should come back to us. And I don't want to hear nothing from them, oh, we're losing money from the state. Well, what is all this money here? This is a one-time money that you'll never see again. So why would you have to complain when you've gotten more money than you've probably gotten in years? So there shouldn't be any complaint on this, that it's a loss of revenue, because all the time it's not a loss of revenue. This proves it's the spending. It's always been the spending, why property taxes and why budgets are high, not the loss of revenue. They've already received the first round of the loss. So there shouldn't be any issue on what they get in the future or what they ever have lost in the past. Now, taxpayers are still paying on a 20-year debt service. They're spending $1.2 million to pay back an $18.7 million loan / bond that they borrowed almost 7 years ago for energy upgrades and the renovation of Stevens High School. So we're paying the debt payment and the interest, which equals somewhere around $1.2 million a year. And this is a 20-year term, so it expires, we'll be paying until 2033, another 13 years on one and another 9 years on the energy bond. So that's a lot of money. So it's approximately $13 million left total on both of those that we're already paying on. And you would think they'd want to be paying that off before they worry about new spending, but of course, that's not in the cards, of course. You would think, based on that, they would feel better about giving the money back to the taxpayers, but they don't. All they can think about is new spending, more and more spending. What happens when this one-time money goes away? Well, we're going to continue to pay increased cost as we always have done in the past. What they're doing with this 9% increase is not just spending money, they're growing the education industrial complex, I call it, like the military industrial complex, which it is, because you're getting more employees, you're adding. The Claremont School District is the largest employer in Claremont with approximately 489 employees. That's very close to 500. And you can check this with the New Hampshire Employment Security and look at the website, and it will show that the Claremont School District is the largest employer, which obviously it's not an industry because it's funded by taxpayers, but that's how it's listed. All the time we have a declining enrollment in the last several years. We originally had 2,000 students, and now we're down to somewhere near just over 1,700 students. So why would we be spending more if we have less students? It doesn't make any sense at all. If someone offered you some money with no strings attached, wouldn't you take it? So that's what you need to do. You need to show up and vote, because that's the only way you're going to get your tax relief money back, by voting no on Article 2 on the main budget. You will receive tax savings if it fails of approximately on a $100,000 home, depending what the vote is and depending what warrant articles pass, anywhere between $400 off your tax bill to $568. But Article 2, the main budget, has to be defeated in order to get that. You have to bring as many people in as you can, your neighbors and your friends, and spread the word. Otherwise, if very few people show up, it's going to pass and we're going to lose again. We're going to lose all this money and it's going to go into the industrial education complex. And if your house is worth more, you're going to even receive even more, between $750 to $850 a year back in tax relief. But again, only it will happen if you come out and vote. So don't be complacent. Just get out there and vote. This will substantially reduce your tax bill if the main budget fails. If you vote no on Article 2, the main budget, you will get major tax relief. So don't stay home or you're going to lose, or don't vote yes and you're going to lose. And yes, if everything passes, we'll get very little tax relief. You might as well say almost nothing. It's going to reduce your taxes by 56 cents on a thousandth. So say $56 on a $100,000 home. Wow. So it's almost wiped completely out if everything passes. If it fails, then you will substantially receive tax relief. Otherwise, it's gone away. Basically gone into the unknown. So it's very important, it's imperative that you come out and vote, because it will benefit you greatly by coming out to vote. It's the only way we're going to win this thing, and only way we're going to reduce taxes in Claremont, by voting down the main budget. The school already has received the $1.8 million, so this money that's left, the $2.9 million, is your money for the taking. Now, besides Article 2, there are two more articles that are very hefty in price tags. Article 6 for the bus reserve, capital reserve for buses, for $500,000, and Article 7, the capital reserve, for $500,000. Those two articles right there equate to $1 million. So this is an extra $1 million in addition to the $2.9 million or the $1.5 million that they're spending in capital improvements in the budget. So this is another $2.5 million for capital improvement projects. Unheard of. It's just outrageous to do it at one time. This means once you authorize the voting, you are relinquishing your total authority to the school board. In other words, on these two capital reserve accounts, it's in their hands now. You have no say. So you can't vote on any of these items, say a bus, or on any project in the future, because you've already relinquished your authority to them. There's total loss of transparency because you don't know specifically what they will be doing once you pass the money on to them, once you vote for it, in other words. Everything in these projects will be mixed together, so there is no visibility there. You can't see what's going on. You're surrendering your power totally. And these will not be maintenance items. Instead, they will be outright replacements. So even if something needs to be repaired or needs to be fixed, it will not be so that we will save money. They're not going to do that. They're going to buy it outright so that they can spend the money. So there's no cost savings there. It's all gone. In other words, these are school district slush funds where the voters have no authority, no transparency, no visibility, no nothing. It's gone. And this may be way a business runs, but it's certainly not way a government entity should run, because it should be total transparency, knowing exactly that they're going to be voting on a bus, or they're going to be voting on a specific project, not something that's out in Never Never Land that you never see again. And oh, I didn't know they had a bus. And buy 3 buses or did they buy 2? You're never going to know that unless you delve a little deeper. And once it's in their hands, you're not going to be able to do that. So I want you to be aware of that. So it is very imperative that you come out to vote. And I'm asking you, I'm urging you to vote no on Article 6 and Article 7 as well, because that's going to add another $1 million in extra spending beyond the capital reserve and capital improvements that they have in the main budget. So that's a total of $2.5 million. So I'm asking you to vote no on Article 2, no on Article 6, and no on Article 7. And your taxes will come down substantially, not by $56 on 1,000, but substantially. So if you want to see a substantial reduction in your taxes, vote no on those 3 articles, Article 2, Article 6, and Article 7. That's Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, from 8 to 7 at the Claremont Middle School polls or at Ward 3, the Disnard School. So there's 2 polling places for a total of 3 wards in the city, and that's Tuesday, March 10th, 2020, from 8 a.m. to 7 p.m. to get that done. And I hope you come out and do that. And once these capital reserve funds pass, the tax relief disappears, and as I said, it will be a mere 56 cents or less, depending what the outcome is. So say no to big spending and say yes to tax relief, because remember, this is a chance that you may never have again. We may never see this money again. It would be very unlikely that we would ever see in the school district $5.4 million handed to us. I mean, this is unprecedented, if anything. So take your money while you can. And this election, Tuesday, March 10th, is a referendum on 2 things, on big spending or lower taxes. And I'm going to take the lower taxes every time because this city has been burdened by high taxes for years, and people are struggling, and businesses aren't coming in. In fact, businesses are leaving, and the school district has done major renovations over the years. $18 million, think of it. And we're still paying on it, and yet they want to spend more of your money. Well, I say it's time to stop it, and the only way you can stop it is to come out and vote Tuesday, March 10th. And I see you at the polls, and I hope you spread the word about the vote, because it's more important probably than any other vote you'll ever take in recent years. So I'm Cynthia Howard. You can call me at 543-1372. That's area code 603. You can email me at cindycool09@yahoo.com. My website is ccltgroup.webs.com. This broadcast will be on Spreaker.com. That's Spreaker.com. It will be also on other social media platforms such as Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and on Google Podcast, and on Spotify, and even YouTube. It can be heard in the audio portion. So I hope you will click on one of the links and listen to it for specifics and share it with others, and I'm really appreciative if you do that. And if you go on my website, ccltgroup.webs, and feel free to leave us a donation. We appreciate that as well. Thank you for listening. Have a pleasant day, and see you at the polls on Tuesday, March 10th. Thank you.